For some people, life is just a revolving door of endless opportunities. But for others, it's a waiting room with no clock. It's a place of quiet, grinding persistence where hope feels like a luxury you just can't afford. Amara Jenkins, a single mother with a brilliant mind and empty pockets, felt like she was staring at a wall of locked doors. Julian Thorne, a billionaire who had built a glass and steel empire, saw the world as a chessboard he'd already won. But on one cold, ordinary night, in the heart of the city, their two worlds were about to collide. A single, quiet act of kindness would set off a chain reaction so big it would nearly shatter one life's work and end up saving another, proving that the most important assets aren't the ones on the stock market. The scene opens in a 24-hour laundromat, humming under the harsh fluorescent lights, well past midnight. A 7-year-old boy, Leo, is fast asleep on a hard plastic bench, bundled in his mother's thin, worn coat. His mom, Amara Jenkins, watches him, her heart just a tangled knot of love and exhaustion. She carefully folds the last of their warm clothes, the smell of clean laundry being one of the few simple comforts she has left. She pulls a small tattered storybook from her purse and sets it on top of the pile with a small, sad smile. It was her nightly promise to him, a ritual that was getting harder and harder to keep. Outside, a sleek black car pulls up to the curb. Julian Thorne is in the back, the blue glow of his phone lighting up a face etched with stress. He's barking orders at someone on the other end, his voice sharp and impatient. He's a man who expects the world to bend to his will. The call ends. He sighs, rubbing his temples, and then he glances into the laundromat. He sees Amara. He sees her tuck the book into the laundry. He sees her gently brush a curl from her sleeping son's forehead. His phone, which had been his entire universe just moments before, just fades away. He watches, and in the quiet of his car, the noise in his own head finally goes silent. You can almost hear Amara's inner thoughts. They tell you to dream big. Get an education. I did all that. I got a degree in financial analysis, even graduated with honors. I dreamed of a world filled with numbers and strategy, of seeing patterns no one else could. But then, life happened. My husband left, my son Leo got sick, and the student loans, they don't care about any of that. They were a shadow that followed me everywhere. $87,000. It wasn't just a number, it was a wall between me and any chance at a real future. It's why I worked 2 jobs that had nothing to do with my degree. It's why my brilliant little boy was sleeping in a laundromat. We see a montage of her life. Waking up before dawn to deliver newspapers, forcing a smile for rude customers as a cashier, being on the phone with a debt collector, her knuckles white. "I understand, sir," she says, her voice ear-effectly calm. "I'll make a payment on Friday. It won't be the full amount, but it's what I have." The voice on the other end is cold, a robotic thread of garnished wages and ruined credit. Back in his car, Julian Thorne is still watching. He sees Amar check her phone, and he sees her face fall as she looks at her bank account. He sees her shoulders slump, the weight of the world just pressing down. He doesn't see a stranger. He sees a ghost from his past. He remembers his own mother, Eleanor. She was a school teacher, a woman who believed in the quiet power of just showing up. He remembers a story she told him about a neighborhood family who lost everything in a fire. While others made grand promises they couldn't keep, Eleanor organized a schedule. She made sure that for an entire year, someone brought that family a hot meal, every single day. "Grand gestures make for good stories, Julian," she used to say, but it's the quiet, steady help that actually rebuilds a life. He saw that same quiet, stubborn strength in Amara. He saw a woman folding her son's clothes with the care of a surgeon, a woman who, despite everything, still had a storybook ready to go. On impulse, he picks up his phone. He doesn't call an employee, he calls the head of his personal foundation. "I'm sending you a name," he says, his voice softer now. "Amara Jenkins. I'm about to get you an account number. I want you to find every single debt in her name. Student loans, medical bills, all of it. Pay it all off. And she's never to know where it came from. Understand? A week later, Amara is at the public library using the free Wi-Fi to apply for jobs she knows she won't get. An email pops up from her student loan provider. She sighs, bracing for another demand letter. She clicks it open. Her eyes scan the words. Your loan has been paid in full. She blinks, reads it again. Your balance is $0. It has to be a mistake. A cruel glitch. Her hands are trembling as she logs into her online portal, but there it is, in bold green letters. Paid in full. She clicks over to the portal for her son's outstanding medical bills. Paid in full. A choked sob escapes her lips. It's not loud. It's the quiet, raw sound of total disbelief. She covers her mouth, tears streaming down her face, dripping onto the public keyboard. For the first time in almost 10 years, the shadow was gone. She was free. She had no idea who did it. She had no idea why. It felt like a miracle. All she knew was that she could finally breathe. That night, she took Leo for ice cream. A simple treat that felt like the biggest celebration in the world. 6 months go by. For Amara Jenkins, the world has completely changed. Without that crushing debt, it wasn't just her finances that were freed. It was her mind. We see her now, not in a cashier's uniform but in a smart blazer. She's a junior analyst at a mid-sized financial firm, a job she landed within a month of her debt vanishing. Her brain, once consumed with just trying to survive, was now free to do what it does best, see patterns and solve puzzles. Her apartment is a real home now. Leo has his own room, with drawings of spaceships and dinosaurs on the walls. He's in a better school, and the cough that always seemed to linger is gone, thanks to better health care. Amara is thriving. In meetings, her insights are sharp and her observations catch details her bosses miss. She's quiet, but her work speaks for itself. She's finally becoming the person she was always meant to be. Meanwhile, in the glittering towers of Thorn Industries, Julian's world is starting to crumble. The news hits the financial world like a thunderclap. Thorn Industries, a giant in global logistics and tech, is under attack. Stock prices are in a freefall. Whispers of a hostile takeover by a ruthless rival, Marcus Vance, turn into bold headlines. We see Julian in his boardroom. The calm, decisive man from the laundromat is gone. Now he's a cornered lion surrounded by panicked executives. How are they doing this? He demands. Our firewalls are the best in the business. Our financials are solid. This sell-off makes no sense. His team has no answers. They mumble about market volatility and investor panic. But Julian knows it's more than that. This is targeted. It's precise. It feels like sabotage, but he can't prove it. Every move he makes is countered, every defensive play anticipated. Marcus Vance is playing chess, and he's always 3 moves ahead. Julian is fighting a ghost, an invisible enemy dismantling his life's work piece by piece. The banks are getting nervous. His legacy is about to turn to dust. One evening, Amara is working late, not because she has to anymore, but because she loves it. Her firm was given a routine, low-level task, compiling public trading data. It's grunt work, the kind of thing most analysts would just automate and forget. But Amara's different. She doesn't just see numbers, she sees the story behind them. As she sifts through mountains of data, something catches her eye. It's a tiny anomaly, a series of micro-trades happening across dozens of shell corporations that seem to have no connection to each other. They're too small to trigger any alarms, but they're coordinated, happening in a precise rhythmic pattern. To anyone else, it would just look like noise. To Amara, it's a whisper. The pattern feels familiar. She pulls up her old college thesis, a paper on a theoretical trading strategy. And there it is. A unique, complex algorithm she had dreamed up, one that could be used to secretly manipulate market sentiment, creating the illusion of a panic sell without leaving a single fingerprint. Her blood runs cold. This isn't the market. This is a digital siege, and Thorn Industries is the target. She follows the faint trail connecting the shell companies and finds they all lead back, through a tangled web, to a single holding company, a company owned by Vance Corporation. She leans back, her heart pounding. The man who unknowingly saved her was about to be destroyed, and she was the only person in the world who could see the weapon being used against him. The next morning, Amara feels a terrifying weight of responsibility. She tries to contact Thorn Industries but hits a wall of corporate indifference. Her calls go to voicemail. Her emails get automated replies. To them, she's a junior analyst from a no-name firm. She's a nobody. "Please," she says to a dismissive assistant on the phone, "if you could just get a message to Mr. Thorn's chief of staff. I have information about the market manipulation." "Ma'am," the assistant cuts her off, her voice dripping with condescension. "Mr. Thorn is working with the best financial minds in the world. I assure you, if there was something to find, they would have found it. Please don't call this line again." The line goes dead. Frustration washes over Amara. The clock is ticking. The news says Vance is preparing his final move, a buyout offer that a weakened Thorn Industries won't be able to refuse. For a second, she thinks about giving up. Who was she to think she could save a billionaire? But then she thinks of Leo, of the anonymous gift that gave her a life. This was her chance to pay it forward. She needs a key, not a battering ram. She spends hours scouring the internet for old interviews with Julian Thorn, looking for a crack in his corporate armor. She finds it in a forgotten article about his mother, Eleanor Thorn. The article mentions Eleanor's love for a specific, rare flower, the chocolate cosmos, a deep burgundy flower that smells a little like cocoa. It was, the article said, the gift Julian gave her every year for her birthday. It's a crazy long shot, but it's all she has. She finds a specialty florist and spends a big chunk of her paycheck on an elegant bouquet of chocolate cosmos. With it, she includes a simple, handwritten card. She doesn't explain the data. She doesn't mention Vance. The note has just 10 words. "Mr. Thorn, the pattern is hidden in Eleanor's garden. I can show you. The bouquet arrives at Thorn Industries. It's one of hundreds of deliveries." But the strange flower and the reference to his mother's name get it past the first few desks. It lands on the desk of Julian's weary assistant. She almost throws it out, but the name stops her. Eleanor. She knows how much Julian revered his mother. On a whim, she takes the card and the dark flowers into his office. Julian is just staring out the window at the empire he's about to lose. He glances at the card, annoyed. He reads the words, "Eleanor's Garden." The phrase means nothing to anyone else, but to him, it's a jolt. It was the name his mother gave her small, perfectly kept backyard garden, the place she went to find order in the middle of chaos. He looks at the flowers. Who would know this? Why would they use that phrase? Cynicism battles with a desperate sliver of hope. "Find the person who sent this," he says, his voice quiet but firm. "Bring them to me. Now." An hour later, Amara is escorted into the intimidating boardroom of Thorn Industries. The room is filled with the exhausted, skeptical faces of Julian's top team, and at the head of the table sits Julian Thorn. He looks older than he did that night in the laundromat. "I was told you have something for me," he says, his tone flat, daring her to waste his time. Her hands are trembling, but her voice is steady. She doesn't have a slick presentation. She just has a whiteboard and a marker. For the next 30 minutes, she draws. She explains the web of shell corporations, the rhythm of the microtrades. She lays out the elegant, vicious logic of the attack in a way his own highly paid analysts had completely missed. The room is dead silent. The analysts are just staring at the board, a look of dawning horror on their faces. They run her theory through their systems. The data confirms everything. It was all there, hidden in plain sight. Amara hadn't just brought them a theory. She'd found the murder weapon. What happened next was a swift and brutal counterattack. Armed with Amara's undeniable proof, Julian Thorne didn't just defend his company, he exposed Marcus Vance's illegal scheme to federal regulators. The hostile takeover collapsed. Vance Corporation was buried in lawsuits and investigations. Thorne Industries was saved. A week later, Amara gets a call. It's not from an assistant. It's Julian Thorne. He asks to meet her, not in his office, but at a small park near her apartment. He's waiting on a bench wearing a simple sweater, not a power suit. He looks more rested, the stress lines on his face starting to fade. "I never got to thank you," he starts, his voice filled with a humility she didn't expect. "You saved my company, my legacy, everything I've built." "I was just paying back a debt," Amara says quietly. Julian looks at her and a slow smile spreads across his face. "So you knew." "I had a feeling," she admits. "The timing was a little too perfect." He nods, looking out at the kids playing in the park, at Leo chasing a soccer ball. "My mother believed that help shouldn't be a big show," he says. "She believed true strength was lifting others up so they could stand on their own 2 feet. I think I forgot that somewhere along the way. I got lost in the game. You reminded me." He turns back to her, his expression serious. "I'm not going to offer you a reward, Miss Jenkins. Rewards are for one-time things. What you have is a world-class talent. I'm starting a new division at my company, focused on data forensics and ethical oversight. It's designed to see what others miss, to protect us and other companies from attacks like this. I don't want to offer you a job in it. I want you to build it. I want you to run it." Amara is stunned into silence. This wasn't charity. This was respect. This was a seat at the table she had more than earned. "True wealth isn't what's in your bank account," Julian says almost to himself. "It's what you build in other people. My mother knew that. And because of a gift she inspired and a storybook in a laundromat, you saved my world." Amara looks at her son, laughing freely under the open sky. She looks at the billionaire beside her, a man humbled and changed. And she gets it. A single act of kindness hadn't just erased her debt. It had rippled out, creating a future she had never dared to dream of and saving an empire in the most unexpected way. The scales were finally, beautifully balanced. Kindness is a current that can flow in both directions. Sometimes the person you help today is the one who saves you tomorrow. What did you think of Amara's story? Have you ever seen a small act of kindness have huge, unforeseen consequences? Share your story in the comments below. We truly believe these stories matter, and we love reading every single one. And if you want more tales of hope and the surprising ways our lives connect, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You never know when the next life-changing story will appear.